Good afternoon. I want to welcome everyone to this afternoon's meeting of the Senate Committee on Legislative Operations and Elections. Madam Secretary, we do have all members present. Please mark them as present. I want to thank all members for meeting here today in room 2149, the Legislative Building in Carson City. I want to thank the staff for working so hard to make this happen. I believe this is our first meeting back in a committee room, and we've got presenters on Zoom. And just want to thank Director Stewart, Ms. Stanley, and all the members for us giving this a trial run today. Before we begin our agenda item, I want to briefly explain how our virtual meetings work this session. A few housekeeping matters. Currently, our legislative building is closed due to the pandemic, meaning committee members, staff, presenters are participating through Zoom or telephone, or today we're here in the committee room. As most of you are doing now, you may view committee meetings online through the legislature's streaming service or on the legislature's YouTube channel. As in previous sessions, all committee-related information is available on the Nevada Electronic Legislative Information System, or NELIS, which is accessible from the legislature's website. For this session, the public has 3 ways to submit public opinion or comment or testimony. Please note that each way is slightly different. Some will become part of the public record. Others are opinions shared for legislators' information. The 3 ways are providing testimony via telephone during committee meetings, submitting written testimony, and using the legislature's opinion poll application. To testify via telephone during committee meetings, the public can comment. You just need to register on the NELIS system and then call into the phone number provided. To register, you click on the Participate button under each meeting and fill out the requested information. After registering, you call the number provided at registration, and you're placed in the queue to testify either in support, opposition, or neutral on a bill. There's also a period of public comment where anyone who wishes can make public comment. Our broadcast and production services team will prompt you when it's your turn to speak. It's a first-come, first-served basis. Public can send in written testimony, can be emailed as a PDF to the following email address, senloe@scene.state.nv.us, or it can be sent via fax to the following number, 775-684-6500. Please, if you are going to submit written testimony, include the bill number, a clear title, such as Testimony in Support of Senate Bill 123, and the individual's name and if you're with an organization. All of these submissions become public exhibits that are posted on the NELIS system for your and the public's consideration, and they become part of the public record. The legislature's opinion poll application is the last method of connecting on bills and on issues with your legislators. This application has been used in previous sessions, but it's more prominently displayed and located more places than previously on the legislature's website. It's available by clicking the Submit Opinion button near the date of each meeting. Through this feature, public can provide comments or just indicate their position on a bill. The comments will be available to legislators. They do not become part of the public record. For the public comment portion of the meeting, the committee will set aside time at the end of the meeting for the public to call in. If you miss a meeting and want to know what happened, all committee meetings are recorded and posted on the legislature's website, usually by the following day. I know that was a lot of housekeeping information, but please don't hesitate to contact my office or committee staff if you have any questions or need help. We'll now open the hearing on Assembly Bill 1. We're very lucky to have Vincent Guthrow, Deputy Director at the Nevada Association of Counties, with us to present Assembly Bill 1. Mr. Guthrow, thank you for being here today, and please proceed whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Chair Orenshaw, and members of the Senate Committee on Legislative Operations. For the record, as the Chair mentioned, my name is Vincent Guthrow, and I serve as the Deputy Director of the Nevada Association of Counties. Thank you for the opportunity to present Assembly Bill 1 on behalf of NACO today. Currently, all new legislators are required to take new legislator training, which is administered by the Legislative Council Bureau, or LCB. Assembly Bill 1 proposes an addition to that curriculum, which is currently outlined in NRS 218A.285. Because Nevada is what is called a Dillon's Rule state, the legislature, through NRS, dictates much of what local governments are able to do, and many of the policy changes and budget decisions that each of you will work on throughout your time as legislators will impact local governments. This legislation would ensure that legislators are provided training on the structure, scope, and responsibilities of local government. I took the liberty of providing the committee through your committee manager a list of state and county service providers, which has been color-coded to denote services that are provided by the state, and then those that are provided by the county, and the services that we share. And also, Mr. Chair, if you and the committee will indulge me, I did want to play just a short video to further highlight some of the things that counties do, especially during this time of COVID.
Please go ahead. Thank you.
Give me 1 second to share my screen.
Hospital workers, EMS responders, contact tracers, and human services providers are some of the frontline heroes of the COVID-19 response. And in Nevada, many of them are county employees. Counties matter, and they serve every Nevadan every day. During COVID-19, Nevada's counties are a critical part of the public health response, supporting health districts, providing regional emergency services, and preparing quarantine and isolation beds. Counties are the provider of the local social safety net. Nevadans most in need rely on counties to provide child protective services, meals to those in need, and services to the homeless and seniors. Nevada's counties are responsible for providing over 20% of the state's Medicaid budget and support public hospitals throughout the state. Counties do all this in addition to providing the everyday municipal and regional services that Nevadans depend on, like roads, parks, water and sewer systems, community centers, libraries, and county airports. Counties also administer elections, helping to ensure one of our most sacred democratic rights. Nevada's counties matter, and in difficult economic times, county services are more important than ever and more in demand. We thank the nearly 23,000 Nevadans that are county employees. We are counties. We are Nevada.
Thank you for your indulgence on that, Mr. Chair. Part of the reason that NACO put together this video is to highlight and thank all of our county staff that serve their communities large and small on a daily basis. I think we've all come to know counties especially during the COVID pandemic. Nevada has a diverse and unique citizen legislature, and most of the members of this body do not come up through local government as they might in other states. But given the critical nature of the partnership between county and state governments, the NACO board believes that the additional information on local governments would be helpful for you all to have, including an overview of local government services, authority, and finances. Mr. Chair, this bill proposes to make a very simple change to NRS 218A.285, which requires training for new legislators, and Section 2 adds to that curriculum a discussion of local governments, as I mentioned, including the structure and authority, the financial administration, and the services provided by our states, counties, and cities. And essentially, this legislation would become effective July 1 of 2022 in advance of the 2023 session of the Nevada Legislature. So this bill is pretty straightforward, and I just wanted to highlight some of the things that counties do. And with that, I'm available to take any questions that you might have.
Thank you very much, Mr. Guthrow. And certainly, I think the language you're recommending adding to the statute with, as term limits take effect, I think it becomes more important that there's training offered on this. Members, any questions for Mr. Guthrow? Vice Chair Lang.
Vice Chair Lang, for the record. Mr. Guthrow, having just been through the training, and it was kind of odd just because of COVID, and we had to do everything via Zoom, so it was kind of hard to kind of get a grasp on what it might be if we were in person, but it seemed really long, and a lot of information was thrown at us or given to us. It was all really relevant and really great information, but I think that I want this information that you're talking about. I'm just trying to figure out a way the training could happen that we could absorb it maybe a little bit better. And I know Senator Buck is here, and she just went through the training as well, and I don't know if she had the same reaction that I did. I think all the information is relevant and really good. How long would you anticipate this presentation would be, for example?
Mr. Chair, through you to the Vice Chair.
Oh, and I'm sorry to interrupt, Mr. Guthrow, but you can go directly to the senator. You don't have to go through the chair.
Thank you. Appreciate that. So Senator, thank you so much for the question. While we would be willing, while NACO would be willing to offer their assistance to the Legislative Council Bureau, we will leave this up. It's LCB's training for legislators, and we would leave it up to them, I think, how to structure the classes and how your day looks, I guess, when you're going through the training. I'm sorry, I don't have more clear information. I don't participate in these trainings, but we leave that up to LCB to administer.
No, and that's all right. And Senator Lang, for the record, I think that it'll be really relevant and it'll be a great addition to our training because I think we need to see it on the county government level as well as we make laws that affect county governments. And I'm just, I hope that we can find out a way that we can either spread the training out a little more. But like I said, I think it'll be different when we're there in person, but it is a lot of information and it's all new and we're all trying to observe it and do the best we can. And sometimes, it's probably something we can talk with them later on, but better spread over a little bit of time just because there is so much. But thank you, and thank you for bringing this to us.
Thank you very much, Vice Chair Lang. And I think our policy analyst, Michael Stewart, Director of the LCB Research Division, want to jump in and make a couple of comments.
Thank you, Madam Chair, or Mr. Chair. Madam Vice Chair, for the record, Michael Stewart. So, Vice Chair Lang, so the Research Division does coordinate pretty closely with legislative leadership on sort of the agenda for new legislator training. New legislator training is typically broken out into about 4 phases. We actually spread it out to 5 this time because we added that ethics training right at the beginning, right after the election. Where this might fit in nicely is under the issue briefing section that we do. This time it was under phase 3 in December, where we heard briefings on education, redistricting, education funding, and I think you also had that consensus building, revenue taxation. So this might fall in that area. We did have to pivot, obviously, significantly because of COVID. And normally all of this would be in person. It would be probably a little bit more interactive than what you had. So, but yeah, we're happy to sort of coordinate and make this work with NACO. And like I said, we are actively coordinating with legislative leadership all the time on these types of training. So, and then also the legislators provide us great feedback as well in our evaluation forms. So we're happy to work with NACO if this bill is approved.
Thank you, Director Stewart. Majority Leader Cannizzaro.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I have to commend Mr. Stewart and all of his colleagues at the Legislative Council Bureau because they do a fantastic job and obviously has been a little different this time around with COVID and trying to facilitate a virtual world where you can get the same kind of training. But I do think they do a fantastic job of identifying those policy issues and then making sure that the new legislators are actually getting some immersement in that. When we did ours, we, for example, had toured some of the Zoom and Victory schools. We did something with the Transportation Authority because there were quite a few things sort of percolating on the transportation front. And so I think in a non-virtual world, this sort of fits in nicely and would work with the curriculum. And I know that they will do a fantastic job. And again, just always so grateful for the really incredible work that they do and being able to facilitate ensuring that we're in a good spot to come in and do our jobs here and represent our constituents well. So I just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you very much, Majority Leader. Members, any additional questions either for Mr. Guthrow? Vice Chair Lang.
Vice Chair Lang, for the record, I hope that my comments weren't taken that I didn't think LCB did a great job. I think the training was thorough, it was in depth, and we learned so much. It was an immersion, and and so thinking back at that moment when we had that training and thinking about one more thing, it seems a little bit overwhelming, but I think that in a different world, it'll be much better, and I just thank you for all the work that you do.
Thank you very much, Vice Chair. Director Stewart.
And if I may, just really fast, Michael Stewart, for the record, it's hard to get all that training in and not feel like you're drinking from a fire hose. I will admit that there's a lot of things we cover, so it's completely understandable that it's a lot to cover. So, and we understand. So, thank you.
Thank you very much, Director. One question I have, I know we're a policy committee, we're not a fiscal committee, but I did notice that the fiscal note is 0, so I'm assuming this is something that the Legislative Council Bureau can incorporate in their training now. And I wonder, Mr. Guthrow, have you had any feedback to that effect, that it's something that can be incorporated, adding these additional areas of study?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. For the record, Vincent Guthrow, Deputy Director of the Nevada Association of Counties. I don't want to speak for LCB, but we did reach out to see if there was a fiscal impact, and obviously they didn't indicate that there was one. So I'll leave it at that, and if LCB has any other feedback.
Thank you very much, Mr. Guthrow. Members, any additional questions either for Mr. Guthrow or for Director Stewart? All right, thank you very much. Thank you for the presentation. And I would like to go to broadcasting now. And if there's anyone in the phone line who would like to speak in support, we're allotting 2 minutes per caller.
To testify in support of Assembly Bill 1, please press *9 now to get your place in the queue. Caller with the last 3 digits, 229. Please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and may begin.
Good evening, Chair and Committee. Jamie Rodriguez, that is spelled JamieRodriguez. I'm the Government Affairs Manager for Washoe County, and here we are very supportive of the bill. We believe that the relationship between the legislature and local governments cannot be understated. We are frequently the bodies who are responsible for implementing or enforcing the legislation that is passed here. And while some of the committees do have presentations at the beginning of session, for some of the departments that you will see the most, such as for this committee, our registrar of voters presented at the beginning of session to you all. There are a multitude of other issues heard in different committees as well as this one that we feel a better understanding for the responsibilities at the different levels of local government would be all around helpful to everybody. So we hope that this bill can continue moving forward, and thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much, Ms. Rodriguez.
Caller with the last 3 digits, 718. Please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and may begin.
Thank you, Chair Orensall, Vice Chair Lang, Majority Leader Canizaro, for allowing my statement of support. My name is Wesley Harper, Wesleyharper. I am the Executive Director of the Nevada League of Cities and Municipalities. The League is in support of AB 1, and we appreciate the work of the Nevada Association of Counties to bring this bill forward, and we appreciate the distinguished members of the Senate Committee on Legislative Operations and Elections for hearing it. We agree with the sentiments expressed by Deputy Director Guthrow. This bill is a thoughtful approach to expanding an understanding and appreciation for the duties, responsibilities, services, processes, and workings of local government that seeks to foster a stronger partnership for the benefit of our shared constituents. Again, thank you very much, Mr. Chair, for your attention and allowing my statement of support.
Thank you very much, Mr. Harper.
Caller with the last 3 digits, 964. Please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You'll have 2 minutes and may begin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. For the record, Mary Walker, MaryWalker, representing Carson, Douglas, Lyon, and Story counties. We rise in support of AB 1, which will require legislators to have training on local governments and their issues. Local governments are very diverse in Nevada, rural and urban. Each local government provides a wide array of services, and often the general public, they don't understand the breadth and the depth of the services that local governments provide, everything from roads, parks, cemeteries, to fire and sheriff services. I want to thank NACO very much for bringing this bill forward, and thank you, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate it. Hope everyone is well.
Thank you, Ms. Walker.
Caller with the last three digits, 241. Please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and maybe.
Good afternoon, Chair Orenshaw and members of the Senate Legislative Operations and Elections Committee. My name is Alex Ortiz, ALEX-ORTIZ, representing Clark County. I'm here in support of Assembly Bill Number 1 that NACO has put forward. Training of new legislators, just like training of new employees in any organization, is an important essential step to ensure a beneficial and robust understanding of the new venture they are undertaking. At Clark County, we provide training not only for our new employees, but for our newly elected county commissioners, other elected officials, for example, the assessor, the clerk, the recorder, treasurer, and newly appointed department heads at the start of their tenure. We do an overview of the county organization, talk about our core values, the municipal and regional services we provide to our constituents through our 38 departments, role of the county manager's office, governance structure, fiscal framework, which includes our contribution to the non-federal share of long-term care, financial support of UMC, how we interact and work with other public organizations, for example, the Flood Control District, Regional Transportation Commission, and Southern Nevada Health District, to name a few. And prior to the legislative session, an update about the upcoming session and government affairs issues that may be of interest. We see the benefits our training has on new employees and county elected officials, and urge your support of this bill and the educational opportunity for newly elected legislators. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Ortiz.
Caller with the last three digits, 650. Please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and maybe.
Hello and good afternoon. My name is Zach Bucher, ZACHBUCHER, representing the City of Las Vegas. Thank you, Mr. Chair, for the opportunity to testify, and thank you to the Nevada Association of Counties for bringing this legislation forward. The City of Las Vegas echoes the previous comments from the Nevada League of Cities and other callers in support of this bill. The City of Las Vegas believes there is inherent value for new legislators to receive training and have discussions regarding local governments in our great state. Again, thank you, Mr. Chair, Madam Vice Chair, and committee members for your consideration of Assembly Bill 1. Please enjoy the rest of your day.
Chair, there are no more testifiers in support on AB1 at this time.
Thank you very much, Broadcasting. If you can now go to opposition to Assembly Bill 1, anyone who's in the queue who wants to speak against the measure, we're allotting 2 minutes per caller.
To testify in opposition of Assembly Bill 1, please press star 9 now to get your place in the queue. Chair, there are no testifiers in opposition on Assembly Bill 1 at this time.
Thank you, Broadcasting. Could you now go to neutral? Anyone in the queue who wants to speak neutral on Assembly Bill 1? We're allotting 2 minutes per caller.
To testify in the neutral position on Assembly Bill 1, please press star 9 now to get your place in the queue. Chair, there are no testifiers in the neutral position at this time.
Thank you very much. Deputy Director Guthrow, any closing comments you'd like to make? We appreciate you bringing the bill today.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate the invite. And I guess I'll just close with this. Counties recognize and support the partnership that we have with the state in delivering services to our shared constituency. So we really appreciate you hearing the bill. And we believe that this bill enhances that partnership and understanding. And we appreciate your time and all of your questions on Assembly Bill 1. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Deputy Director Guthrow. With that, we will now close the hearing on Assembly Bill 1. And the last item on our agenda is public comment. Broadcasting, if there's anyone in the queue who wishes to make public comment, we're allotting 2 minutes per caller.
To give general public comment, please press star 9 now to get your place in the queue. Chair, the line is open and working. However, there is no public comment at this time.
Well, thank you very much, Broadcasting. And that brings us to the close of the meeting. I want to thank the members, thank staff, Broadcasting, everybody who's made this happen. And really exciting to be back in a committee room and taking a step back towards normalcy. So thank you. With that, we are adjourned.